Okay, let's jump right into it. For this explainer, I'm going to be stepping into the role of your flight instructor. And my job, well, it's to guide you through what is arguably one of the most critical, literally life-saving skills you'll ever learn in aviation, instrument flying. We're going to strip away the outside world, completely take away your natural horizon, and learn how to fly a highly complex machine using absolutely nothing but the dials sitting right in front of you. It's an incredibly unnatural feeling at first, for sure, but by the end of our time together, you're going to understand exactly how it works. All right, welcome to the left seat. I want you to imagine strapping in, grabbing the controls, and flying straight into a dense, completely blinding cloud. Just like that, the ground vanishes. The sky, gone. The horizon disappears entirely. You're just suspended in this endless sea of gray. And suddenly, every single thing your body has relied on for balance your entire life is completely, utterly useless.
So here is the absolute core foundation of everything we're going to talk about today. It's a point we'll come back to constantly. You must learn to completely trust your mechanical instruments over your own biological senses. As an instrument pilot, your starting point is literally letting go of what you feel. You have to believe solely in what your eyes are seeing on that dashboard, even and especially when every nerve in your body is screaming that the instruments are wrong. If you can't make that mental switch, you simply can't survive in the clouds.
I mean, think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. Why on earth do we have to fight our own bodies up there? Well, it's because our bodies evolved for a flat 1G environment with our feet planted firmly on the dirt. When we introduce the 3D movement and the crazy varied accelerations of an airplane, our inner ear and our position-sensing nerves are easily and very dangerously tricked.
Let's look at how this actually plays out with a few sensory illusions. Because of the G-forces involved, pulling up into a steep climb pushes you down into your seat in a way that feels exactly like a steep, level turn to your body. Or take acceleration. Punching the throttle and speeding up quickly actually tricks your brain into thinking the nose is pitching way up. And deceleration, slowing the aircraft down gives your inner ear the dangerously false impression that you're pitching down and diving toward the earth, even if you are flying perfectly straight and level.
And you know, this perfectly illustrates why we have some super strict rules in the cockpit. Say you happen to drop your pencil or a chart while flying in the soup. You must never make sudden head movements or look down quickly to grab it. Doing that while the aircraft is maneuvering can cross-wire those delicate signals in your inner ear and cause immediate, overwhelming vertigo. And in the clouds, overwhelming vertigo can lead to a complete loss of control in a matter of seconds if you aren't rigidly locked onto your instruments.
So, to actually survive and thrive in this environment, we've got to transition your eyes away from that completely useless, disorienting whiteout right out the windshield. We have to train your gaze to focus entirely inside the cockpit. We're essentially replacing the natural horizon with a surrogate, mechanical horizon. We have to completely retrain your brain to trust it over everything else.
Meet your new eyes. This is the famous six-pack of primary flight instruments. We call it a six-pack simply because it's arranged in two neat rows of 3 dials. When you can't see the ground, these 6 specific gauges are going to provide every single piece of information you need to maintain control, establish your flight path, and navigate safely to your destination. This right here, this is your new window to the world.
Now look, as your instructor, I know staring at all these dials at once can be incredibly intimidating. So let's just simplify the whole thing. To make this panel a lot less overwhelming, we divide it into 2 distinct categories. First, we have your control instruments. These are what you use to proactively set your attitude and your engine power. Then we have the performance instruments. Those are simply there to show you the lagging, real-world results of those specific control inputs.
Let's start by breaking down those control instruments, looking first at pitch attitude. Pitch attitude is, simply put, the geometric angle between the longitudinal axis of your airplane. So think of a straight line running from the propeller at the front all the way back to the tail and the horizontal horizon. You control this angle directly by pushing or pulling on the yoke.
Next up, we have bank angle. Technically, this is defined as the angle between the lateral axis of the airplane, that's wingtip to wingtip, and the horizontal. But in simple, practical terms, it's really just how far your wings are tilted left or right. When you want to turn the airplane, you use your ailerons to establish a specific bank angle to get you heading where you want to go.
Okay, here is where my students almost always get tripped up, and I really cannot stress this enough. Pitch attitude is just where the nose points. That is fundamentally different from the angle of attack, which represents the angle between your wing and the actual airflow. You could have a super high-pitch attitude, nose pointed straight up to the sky, but without enough speed, you could still be sinking like a stone. So do not confuse where the nose is pointing with where the airplane is actually going.
Now, the really fascinating takeaway here is the golden formula of aviation. Power plus attitude equals performance. If you set a precise attitude on your dials, and you combine it with a specific power setting on your throttle, it is always going to yield a predictable flight path and airspeed. Why does this predictability matter so much in the clouds? Because it completely removes the guesswork. If you set X and Y, you get Z. It works every single time, visually or in the clouds, no matter what your totally confused inner ear is telling you.
But, knowing that formula is one thing. Actually gathering all that data in real time without panicking, that's another story. To do it efficiently, you have to master what we call the selective radial scan. In this technique, you treat the attitude indicator, that large top-center dial showing your pitch and bank, as the absolute center of your universe. In practice, your eyes just have to constantly return to that attitude indicator every few seconds. You glance out to another instrument to grab a piece of data, and then boom, immediately bring your eyes back to home base. Look out, look back. Look out, look back. You can never let yourself get dangerously fixated on any single gauge, or you're going to lose the overall picture of what the aircraft is doing. Let's actually run through that scan. From that master attitude indicator right in the center, you quickly radiate diagonally down to the left to check your balance, or straight down to check your heading. You read the information and then instantly snap your eyes right back up to the center. Diagonal down, center. Straight down, center. And you're going to execute the exact same quick glance straight out to the left for your airspeed, or out to the right for your altitude. Out, center. Out, center. By constantly radiating out and snapping back to the center, you're continuously building a complete, real-time mental picture of the aircraft's state. And most importantly, by keeping your eyes constantly moving, you're preventing your brain from slipping back into trusting those faulty physical sensations. Okay, so you're scanning effectively, but now you actually need to maneuver the airplane. When you need to make a move, you don't just yank the yoke. We use a proven, highly disciplined 5-step control sequence. First, you change the attitude and power. Second, check the performance instruments to see the result. Third, hold the attitude steady to let the aircraft settle. Fourth, adjust as needed. And finally, trim. I really want to emphasize that final step. Trimming is absolutely essential because it relieves the heavy physical control pressures on your hands. If you don't trim, you're going to get physically fatigued. And remember, you're flying blindly in a cloud. Fatigue leads to physical stress, which inevitably leads to jerky overcorrections, which can then trigger vertigo. You've got to let the aircraft do the physical work for you, so your brain can focus entirely on trusting the panel. Now, while we completely trust our new mechanical eyes over our biological ones, we have to remember they are still machines, right? And machines can occasionally fail. If a vacuum pump fails, a gyro might slowly, silently die without you even noticing it first. So, if your gauges ever disagree, you must evaluate the panel, cross-check the data, and believe the majority of the instruments to identify the liar. You really have to play detective up there. As you practice this, keep in mind that the real mark of a pro instrument pilot is being proactive. You set a specific attitude and power, and then you calmly wait for the performance instruments to confirm it. If you spend your flight constantly reacting to and frantically chasing lagging needles, you're going to create this dangerous roller coaster effect. And what does a roller coaster do? It totally scrambles your inner ear, bringing us right back to the danger of trusting your body over the machine. Of course, all of this brilliant panel work is totally useless if we hit a mountain. Because your eyes cannot verify ground clearance when we're deep in the soup, you must always calculate and strictly maintain a minimum safe altitude. This is what ensures we stay at least 1,000 feet clear of unseen obstacles or 2,000 feet in mountainous terrain at all times. So, to wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a final provocative thought to really test your discipline. When you are deep in a cloud and your inner ear is absolutely screaming at you that you're falling into a dive, but your attitude indicator says you are perfectly level, who do you trust? Think about that, and I'll see you in the cockpit.